Right, so if everyone would like to take a comfortable seated position, I'm going to be cross-legged, going cross-legged, but if that's not comfortable, just come into whatever feels best for you. And we will start the class with the option of having your hands on your knees with your palms facing the ceiling today. And sometimes I like to bring my index finger to my thumb. So I bring my fingers like this. And it's just an option, so do whatever feels like good for you today. But sometimes it helps me really feel the energy in my body for grounding into the class. So just an option if you want to give that a try. So when you're ready, you can start to soften your gaze. So you can either start to close your eyes or just find a steady gazing point in the room. And start to notice your breath as it comes in through your nose and travels into the body. Notice any sensations. Observe any thoughts that start coming into your mind and just watch them and let them pass by. Feeling connected and rooted through our sitting bones to the earth. Preparing our body to make some space, not just in the physical body, but in our mind as well. We're going to be doing some balancing today. And this is a real practice, not just for the body, but it can be a real test for the mind sometimes as well. And just know that any wobbles or falling out of postures or feelings of frustration, that's okay. And actually if that's what's happening for us today, then that's what we need, because it's helping us to strengthen our concentration and strengthen our body. See if you can notice your inhales and your exhales, and maybe you can elongate the exhale slightly. This will really help to connect to your rest and digest system, your nervous system. And this is something you can come back to at any time in practice or in life. And it's a natural tool that's always there with you if you need it. So when you're ready, you can start to kind of bring yourself back into the physical body. Maybe you slowly start to open your eyes. And if you can bring your hands together, interlace your fingers So interlace your fingers, and then if it feels comfortable to, bring your palms to the ceiling and have a lovely stretch with your arms up above your head. Now if this doesn't feel, if this feels really strong, you can bring your palms so that they're turning inwards and still do the stretch like this. So come to that. If that feels better, go with whatever feels right for you today. And see how it feels to start to slowly stretch over to the right side in this position. And really thinking about making space. See if you can bring the gaze maybe up towards the ceiling. Notice the left side body opening up and the right side body really using some strength here as well. Then come back through to center and come over to the left. So try inhaling and making space and then coming over to the left side. This doesn't have to be a really big movement. In fact, if you're really taking kind of a mindful small movement here but really making space in the body, then that's great. And just remember to breathe. Come back to neutral. And then keeping the hands interlaced, come forwards. So bringing the belly button in towards the spine, and we're rounding. So we're coming into almost a little bit of a forward stretch, rounding the spine here. Inhale through to neutral. And then see if you can just open the heart slightly. So we're not doing any kind of big back bend. We're just a really small kind of opening in the opposite direction. Lovely. And just remember to breathe. Come back through to neutral. Now release the hands. Just give your arms a little shake out, because I know that can be quite strong. And just interlace them back together, and we'll just do come back to a couple of circles now. So going to the left first, or whatever feels best for you, and you can go with your own breath here. Just come into a couple of circles, really the movement coming from the waist. So go round in one direction for a couple of breaths, and then take it back round the other way. Really just moving and feeling into the body. We're really waking up the spine. Lovely, nice. Great. Now you can release the hands, give your arms another shake out. Shake out the wrists. Maybe do this lovely tension relieving exercise of just, we're letting go of anything that doesn't serve us or that we don't need today, and we're just shaking it off. Okay. Now, keeping the right leg bent in, bring this left foot out in front. So the left leg is straightened and lengthened out in front of us with a flexed foot. And then the right sole of your foot is coming to the inside of your left thigh. And the knees coming out to the side. So it's a bit like when we do tree, but we're in a seated position. Now if you need a block here to support your hip, if this feels quite strong, you can bring a block underneath, or you have the option, you can have both legs just straight out in front for this, if that feels better. So we're in our Janu Shasana now. Flexing the left foot, this left leg is really engaged and active. On an inhale, bring the ribs away from the hips and make space, and then come into a forward fold. Really leading, think about leading with the chest bone. So we're trying to keep a lengthened spine. Maybe your hands come to your thigh or your shin, or maybe you can bring them to your toes or interlace them behind the toes. See what feels good and just breathe into this stretch. See if you can bring the elbows out to the side and roll the shoulder blades down your back. Feeling the stretch through the left leg. On an inhale, come back up from the fold. And then prepare to come on the other side. So bring that right leg straight out in front of you. Bring the left foot, the sole of the left foot to meet your inside of your right thigh. And flex the right foot, really activating the right leg. Get any support you need. Inhale, make space in the body. And then hinging at the hips, leading with the chest bone, come into a forward fold. Feeling that stretch right down the back of the right leg. Again, you might feel the leg shaking here, shaking and wobbling. But it's all good stuff. Check in with your breathing. And then slowly start to bring yourself back up to neutral. Now, if you have any blocks or books available as props, I would just have them next to your mat and accessible and ready to move into the next part of the practice. Now move into tabletop position. So grounding through the hands, the tops of the feet lightly pressing into the mat, engaging our mula bandha and the core muscles, and start to bring the right leg back and tuck the toes under, so we're coming into kind of a stretch with this right leg. See how that feels, and then see if you can start to bring the left hand off the mat and out in front of you, keeping the core really strong and engaged. And then you can either stay here and work with this, or working into a little bit of balance, start to bring the right foot away from the mat and imagine that it's pushing into a wall behind you. Staying strong in the lower abdominals, that inner line of energy in the body, and release. Lovely. Same again on the other side, so bring that left leg back, tuck the toes under and come into a stretch. Just grounding through the hands, using that right leg to stabilize. So when you press the top of the foot into the mat, that really helps to just activate that right grounding leg. Then start to bring the right hand off the mat if that feels okay. Maybe it's just hovering off, or maybe it's coming towards being straight out in front of you. And then see how it feels to bring the left leg away from the mat. You can have the foot flexed or pointed, whatever helps to give you your focus and your balance. Just working with this, and make sure you're checking back in with your breath here. Slowly lower with control the arm and the leg back down to your tabletop position. Tuck the toes under and start to walk the feet in towards the hands. And just we're coming into a forwards fold, So take the elbows, the hands on the elbows if that feels good. Again, have as much kind of softness in the knees here that you need. And let yourself just hang down. Relax the head and the neck. Take any free movement that feels good so you can rock from side to side. Or it might feel better to just be in stillness. It's whatever you need today. You're ready, release the arms and start to slowly curl the body up, coming towards a standing position, but the spine is rounded, and we're peeling the body up with the head and the neck coming last. So feet about hip width roughly apart. Standing in Tadasana, really grounding through the feet, lifting the ribs away from the hips. Inhale, reach your arms above your head. Exhale, hinging at the hips, forwards fold. Soften the knees as much as you need to. Inhale, lift the chest, make space. Halfway lift, lengthening the spine. Exhale, frame the feet and step the feet back into plank position. Work through your version of Chaturanga. So that may be on the inhale coming into a cobra or an upward facing dog. On the upward facing dog, try and keep your neck and your head as neutral as you can. This helps with the energy flowing through the body. Sometimes if we bring our head back too much, it can cut off that lovely energy that we need in our practice. Exhale, back into downward facing dog. Meeting back in downward facing dog from whichever version of Chaturanga that worked for you today. Hips are really lifting to the sky. Grounding through the feet and the hands. Strong in the shoulders. Bringing the belly button in towards the spine. Soften the knees as much as you need to. Feet do not need to be flat at all. You'll get all the same benefits. The main thing is lengthening the spine and making space. And on your next inhale, step the left foot through between the hands, keeping the hands grounded. Grounding through the right hand, start to bring the left hand away, come into an easy twist. So I'm just going to switch around so that you can see me. So we're in our easy twist. See if you can bring the gaze up to the sky or towards that direction. Exhale, bring the hand back down. Grounding through the feet. Inhale, reach both hands up into high lunge. Beautiful, lovely. Okay, and then step the right foot in slightly. So step that right foot in, find your grounding and your balance. Hands can start in prayer position, or you could bring them to your hips, and you're going to come through into a warrior three. So if you need your block here, or your 2 blocks, get that out in front of you to help support. And we're going to, grounding through the left leg, start bringing that right leg away and rotating so that you're aiming towards getting your body into a straight line. But if you're here, that's absolutely okay. Work with that. So wherever you are, staying in your warrior three, and our hips are facing the mat here, so our hips are in line with the ground, both of them. If you want a little bit more, you can bring your hands out in front and straighten them out, but that's just an option. And then from our warrior three, we're going to come into a half moon. So I'm just going to switch again so you can see me. So if your hands are on the block, we're staying like this, and we're bringing our right hand, and we're just slightly starting to open our hips to come into our half moon. So this is really challenging. You're gonna wobble, you're gonna fall, but this is what we want. This is what strengthens our muscles, our concentration. Your hand could be on the mat, it's just an option. Just go with whatever feels right for you. Lovely. Okay, you can release both hands down to the mat, meet back into a plank position. Well done, everyone. Lower down, work through a chaturanga. Inhaling into either upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, meeting back in downward facing dog. And just take a moment here, just take a breath. You can come to child's pose at any time throughout the class that you need to. Standing balances are really challenging, and they can sometimes bring up a lot of feelings within us as well. So just be kind to yourself. Some days your body will behave differently than others. And that's okay, it happens to everyone. On your next inhale, bring the right foot and step the right foot through, this time between the hands. Grounding through the left hand, release the right hand and reach it to the sky, coming into an easy twist. Think about bringing your belly away from your thigh here. Start bringing the gaze to the sky if that feels good too. Exhale, bring that right hand back down to frame the foot. Stabilize with the legs and inhale up into a high lunge. When you're ready, step that left foot in slightly and just find your stability. Find your grounding. Maybe think about this time finding a drishti or a gazing point somewhere in front of you to help with your balance as we prepare to come into our warrior three. So grounding through the right leg, slowly start bringing the left leg away. And start seeing if you can work towards bringing your body into one long line. Hips really shining towards the mat. Imagine that your left foot is pressing into a wall behind you. Then, if it feels good to, now you can just stay in your warrior three if you want to work with that. If you want to come into half moon, you can now. So you can either place that right hand either on the block or on the mat, and the hip opens slightly, and the left arm starts coming to the sky. And maybe, just maybe, your gaze also starts to follow. But the minute that your gaze follows, this adds in an extra challenge with our balance. And start to release. Bring the hands back down. Meet back into plank position. Well done. Work through your chaturanga. Inhaling, upward dog or cobra. Exhale, meet back in downward facing dog. Hips reaching to the sky. Again, you can come into child's pose at any time. And just know that the more that you come back to these postures, especially with balance or standing balances, the more familiar that you'll get with them, and the more that you'll find that drishti and find that focus point. But it's a really great way to access the mind-body connection when we're coming into balance. On your next inhale, come to your toes and step the feet in towards the hands. Lift the chest, lengthen the spine, make space. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach the arms above the head. Exhale, hands through heart center. And just take a moment here. You could have the option to close your eyes and just check in with the body. Feel any energy that we've built in the body today. Any sensations in your hands. Check in with your breathing. Just taking a few moments of really being present and still. Okay, if you had your eyes closed, start to open your eyes and bring your hands to heart center and Jali Mudra. Now, options, come to your toes, or you can keep the feet grounded. We're going to do one of my favorites to, with control, start to lower yourself down to the mat. But this time, when you get down, before you release your hips, see how it feels to bring your hands above your head into the sky. Then see how it feels to bring them slowly round in a circle motion. Again, this is really testing the balance. Maybe once you've done it one way, try and do it the other way. And when you're ready, bring your hands back to heart center and release those hips down. Well done, everyone. Now for our last asana of the practice, get ready to prepare for bridge. So bring your body down to the mat. Our feet are on the mat, our knees are bent in, and option to have a block here. So when you're ready, your feet are grounded, your knees are bent in, start to slowly, and before you do this, think about bringing your pelvis up and in towards the body, and notice what that does, which muscles that engages and activates. So come to that first. So you'll feel that this will press your spine towards the mat. So come into this and then start to bring your hips away from the mat. Slowly. Keeping your chin tucked into the chest, and being mindful here that you want to kind of keep your neck in a nice line, so keeping that chin into the chest. And you can either be in an active bridge, or if you want something restorative now, you can bring your block underneath your hips and come into this restorative bridge. Now I'm going to give you an option here. It's just an option. If you're kind of familiar with shoulder stand, or shoulder stand something that you think you'll be comfortable with today, you could start to bring your hands under your hips. So elbows are grounding to the mat and your hands are supporting your hips, and the rest of your body still in this bridge position.
And if you feel really stable and comfortable here, see how it feels to just lightly kick your legs up into a shoulder stand, keeping that neck really tucked into the chest. Now, this is just an option. Stay in your bridge, either active or restorative, if that feels better for you. But if you're in shoulder stand, just keep the hands there supporting the spine, bringing the legs up to the sky. Maybe just observing any wobbles or shakes in the body. Wherever you are, just check in with the breath. If you're in shoulder stand, either curl the body down or you can bring the legs back down into a bridge. Again, do what feels right and comfortable in the body to do. And then everybody release, so wherever you were, release out of your bridge and bring your spine back down to the mat. Release the legs and roll over onto your front. And we're just going to do a little counter pose for anybody who did come into shoulder stand. And so bring your hands just slightly out in front and the forearms are on the mat, and just come into a sphinx. So we're bringing the top half of the body away from the mat. The hands are flat on the mat and the forearms. And just engage the glutes and the legs to support the spine here. And breathe, and we're just counterbalancing the shoulder stand or the bridge that we just did. And start coming into that restorative place if you're not there already. And then lower the body back down. And you can either rest your head on your hands or on the mat, bringing the elbows out to the side, relaxing the body. And you can either come into your Shavasana on your belly, if that feels good too. Or if you prefer to be on your back, then just roll yourself back over and take Shavasana lying supine. Totally optional, just do whatever feels most comfortable. And now you can really start to melt into your mat wherever you are. And soften the jaw, soften your breathing. And I'm just going to share with you a little message for today. And I got this from a pack of power cards given to me by a really lovely family member. And I'm going to share the one that I pulled out today. And it reads, "I am safe. It's only change. I cross all bridges with joy and ease. The old unfolds into wonderful new experiences. My life gets better all the time."